A long time ago, there lived a very brave knight named Setsu. One day, Setsu had to fight a super big and scary monster boss. It was a really tough battle, but Setsu was stronger and defeated the monster. After winning, there was a massive kaboom. Everything went bright, and when Setsu opened his eyes again, he wasn't in the magic world anymore. He was back in the normal, non-magic world where he came from. Setsu was just standing around, thinking about the magic world, when his childhood best friend Yuyuhi came skipping along. "Setsu, your hair has gotten so long and shaggy, you look like a fluffy puppy dog," Yuyuhi giggled. Setsu really liked Yuyuhi, so he agreed to let her trim his hair nice and neat. As Yuyuhi was getting her scissors ready, Setsu wondered what was happening back in the magic world he had just left. Suddenly, without warning, the sky started getting all dark and stormy. A huge, glowing circle appeared out of nowhere, shining brightly in front of Setsu and Yuyuhi. But Setsu felt a very familiar feeling, like he knew what was coming next. There was a blinding flash of light, and the next thing Setsu and Yuyuhi knew, they had been zapped and transported right back into the magic world. But they weren't alone, a bunch of other kids from their school were there too. Everyone was very confused, looking around saying, "Huh, what's going on?" Setsu quickly realized they were back in the magic world he recognized. But before he could explain, they all heard a big roar noise. Yuho, something was coming. A group of big, mean, ugly demon knights came stomping over a hill towards them. The demons looked pretty bad news. Setsu could sense that they were being controlled by a yucky curse to make them extra evil. The demon knights spotted Setsu and his friends and began charging right at them. The kids all screamed and started running away as fast. But the demons seemed to be mostly going after Setsu. Yuyuhi didn't want her best friend to get hurt, so she bravely jumped on top of him to protect him from the demons. One demon raised its giant sword, about to slice right through Setsu and Yuyuhi. But at the last second, Setsu just gave a little flick of his finger, and boom. The demon went flying backwards like a rocket. Yuyuhi's eyes were wide, and her jaw dropped. "How did you do that crazy strong thing?" she asked Setsu. But Setsu just grabbed her hand and started running to get somewhere safer. As they ran, they saw a whole army of soldier knights marching quickly past them, going to fight the demon knights. The soldiers clashed with the demons, swords clanging, but the demons were just too powerful and monster-like. The soldiers were having a hard time. Just then, a squad of awesome wizard mages showed up and started shooting powerful fire blasts at the demons, shouting made-up magic words like "Zippa Zam Zazam." The fire blasted several demons into burnt piles of goo. The soldiers and the mages fought together as a team and managed to take out a bunch of the demons. Setsu and the other kids watched the big battle happening, feeling safe for now but still confused about what was going on. Setsu thought it was very strange because he was pretty sure the war against the demons had ended years ago when he helped win it. During a break in the fighting, a girl wizard mage named Elka came over to the group of kids. "Hey, it's way too dangerous for you all to be out here," Elka shouted over the noise. "Follow me and I'll get you someplace safe." Setsu stared at Elka, having a feeling like he had met her before. Just then, a big strong knight named Glein joined Elka. "Elka, get those kids out of here. My soldiers, charge," Glein commanded, pointing his sword. The soldier knights roared and rushed back into battle against the demon knights. Glein was smashing demons left and right. At the same time, Elka used her magical eye powers to make a rain of huge spiky things fall down and impale the demons from above. "Whoa, they're both so strong and powerful," Yuyuhi said, watching them in awe. Setsu just nodded and motioned for the kids to follow Elka to get to safety like she said. After some running, they finally made it to the main city where the king's castle was. As soon as they arrived, the king himself came out to greet them. "Ah, I see the heroes have arrived," the king exclaimed happily. "Heroes?" Yuyuhi asked, very confused. "What does the king mean by that?" The kind explained, "Our kingdom is being invaded by demons, just like the terrible war we had 5 years ago. But last time, we were saved by a brave hero from another world. The king looked at Setsu. And now, it seems destiny has brought us new heroes from your world again, just when we need you most. The beautiful princess came up beside the king. Yes, please, noble heroes. We are in desperate need of your help to defeat this demon invasion. We beg of you to lend us your courage and strength. The kids all looked at each other, feeling scared and worried. But we don't know how to fight demons and monsters, one of them squeaked nervously. Do not fear, the king said. You shall be trained in the ways of magic and combat by our finest knights and mages. For now, you must rest. With no other choice, the kids agreed to help save the kingdom however they could. The princess thanked them graciously as servants led them to some cozy bedrooms for the night. Before going to bed, Setsu gave Yu his hand a gentle squeeze. Don't worry, I'll keep you safe no matter what, he promised her. The next day, training began bright and early. The big strong knight Glein taught all the kids things like sword fighting and blocking attacks. He was a tough teacher, but fair. The wizard Elka taught them about using different types of magic by picturing it clearly in their minds. Concentrate hard and feel the magic energy flowing through you, she instructed. The girls practiced making wind gusts, lighting sparkles, and other simple magic spells. To everyone's surprise, Yu turned out to be a natural at magic, especially wind powers. Her wind blasts were the strongest of anyone. Setsu couldn't help but grin with pride watching her. As Setsu strolled around the training grounds, Elka suddenly appeared in front of him with her hands on her hips. She did not look pleased. And what do you think you're doing, slacking off over here? She scolded him sternly. You should be practicing your magic talents too. Setsu just gave a little shrug. I don't need to practice. I've already mastered my powers. His casual, dismissive attitude reminded Elka of someone. You know, you're acting just like that other hero from 5 years ago, Elka said with a frown. He was selfish and egotistical, thinking he was better than everyone. Don't be like him. The demon war is serious business, not a game, she pointed a finger at Setsu firmly. Now get back to your training, before I make you. Oh yeah, I'd like to see you try and make me, Setsu challenged with a little smirk. Bad move. Elka narrowed her eyes and suddenly lunged at Setsu, swinging a kick. But in a blink, Setsu had already dodged to the side effortlessly. Before Elka could react, he lightly slapped her on the back of the head from behind. You're still too slow, he teased. Elka whipped around, jaw dropping in shock. She stared at Setsu, finally recognizing the familiar fighting stance and movements. That technique? Could it be? You're the hero from 5 years ago, aren't you? She immediately dropped to one knee, bowing respectfully. I can't believe it. Master, it's an honor. How long are you going to stay bowing down like that? Setsu asked casually after a moment. It's getting weird. Oh, my apologies. I have your chair right here, Master, Elka said quickly, getting up and making a chair appear with her magic for Setsu to sit in. But to her surprise, Setsu just plopped himself down right on her back instead of the chair. Hey, what are you doing? Elka exclaimed, feeling Setsu's weight on her. You've become even more of a weirdo masochist since the last time I saw you, Elka, Setsu remarked bluntly. Just then, Glein came walking over towards them, looking very confused at the bizarre scene before him. What in the world is going on here? He asked with uncertainty. It's the hero, Sir Glein, Elka spoke up quickly. It seems he has returned to us at last. Glein's eyes went wide, staring at Setsu sitting so casually on Elka's back. He could hardly believe it, but given Elka's compromising position, it had to be true. Sir Setsu, is that really you? Took you long enough to figure it out, Setsu said nonchalantly with a shrug. Glein and Elka quickly gathered their other companion, the mage Tia, to share the unbelievable news. As soon as Tia saw Setsu, she gasped in amazement. There's no mistaking that overwhelming magic power. Sir Setsu has finally returned. Please forgive me for not sensing your magic signature sooner, Glein said, dropping to one knee respectfully. "Oh, there's no need to bow and apologize," Elka spoke up quickly. "I could sense it was Master Setsu right from the start." She gave Setsu a sheepish grin, pretending she hadn't just been disrespectful towards him moments ago. Setsu rolled his eyes but allowed a small smile. "It's good to see you all again, my friends. I have to admit, I'm a bit relieved you managed to stay alive while I was gone." "We're the ones who are relieved that you're back safely, Sir Setsu," Glein exclaimed, standing up again. "But where have you been all this time? And what of the demon war? Have the foul creatures returned?" Setsu nodded grimly. "Yes, it would appear a new demonic force is invading once more. But the soldiers seem to be having trouble fending them off this time." "Indeed, their power has been greatly increased," Tia agreed with a worried look. "We initially thought it was just a minor incursion, but they kept coming in greater numbers." "Do you have any idea what could be behind this?" Glein asked seriously. "Any leads on who is commanding and strengthening the demon army?" "Well, from what I witnessed of their attack, it seems the demons are being controlled by some sort of curse magic," Setsu replied, stroking his chin thoughtfully. "Almost like they're being mind-controlled as puppets." The others gasped in realization. "You don't think it could be him, do you?" Elka asked, horrified. Setsu gave a solemn nod. "I can't say for sure, but the demon's power did feel awfully similar to Toma's dark curse abilities." "Toma," Tia exclaimed. "But I thought he disappeared along with you after that final battle 5 years ago." "That's what I figured too," Setsu admitted with a frown. "We searched high and low, but found no trace of either of us after that explosive clash." Glein slammed a fist into his palm determinedly. "Then it seems clear what we must do. We have to find this Toma villain and stop whatever nefarious plans he has involving the demon army." Just then, a castle guard came running over. "Sir Glein, the king has summoned an urgent meeting to address the demon invasion. Your presence is required immediately." "Of course, I'm on my way," Glein responded crisply before turning back to the others. "Elka, Tia, you'd better fill Sir Setsu in on everything while I'm gone. This is no longer just a fight to protect our kingdom, it's a battle to save the entire world." With that dramatic statement, Glein hurried off towards the castle. Elka watched him go before turning back to Setsu with a sly smile. "Well, looks like coordinating the kingdom's defenses would have been your duty if you stayed. Oh great master," she teased lightly. "That stuffed shirt Glein never could handle war strategizing as well as you. You know me, I would have gotten bored just sitting around planning all day," Setsu replied with a casual wave of his hand. "I always preferred to be out traveling the world, exploring ancient ruins, getting into trouble." "Some things never change, do they?" Tia chuckled, shaking her head amusedly. The three longtime friends sat back, enjoying the peaceful castle scenery for a few quiet moments. Setsu looked up at the bright blue sky, his expression unreadable. "Still, I can't help but wonder just what Toma has been up to all this time," he muttered, mostly to himself. "And why he's waited until now to strike again." Meanwhile, at the king's war council chamber, the atmosphere was much more tense. The ruler stood imposingly, addressing his subjects. "Hear me, my people," the king's voice boomed. "Too long have we waited and let these vile demon scourges invade our lands unchallenged. The time has come to amass our full military might and crush this pestilence once and for all. As of this moment, I am officially declaring war against the demon army. Your Majesty, I must respectfully object to this rash decision," Glein spoke up, stepping forward. "We are still waiting to hear back from our emissary to the demon realm. Attacking now could have catastrophic consequences." "Silence," the king's daughter, the princess, interjected harshly. "It is the demons who have been the aggressors, brazenly assaulting our borders without provocation. And is it not destiny itself that has brought us new heroes from another world to aid our cause? Surely the gods themselves champion our righteous struggle." Glein looked troubled. unable to argue against the princess's point about the otherworldly heroes that had been summoned. The same kid Setsu was currently watching over. She's right, we cannot ignore the divine signs, the king agreed, nodding firmly. 5 years ago, it was a mistake to listen to that foreign fool Setsu and pursue senseless peace. With the demon kind, we will not make that error again. In the courtyard, Yuyuhi was diligently continuing her magic training even after the day's lessons were over. She took a deep breath, then dramatically swung her arms in a flowing motion, shouting, "Wind gust!" A powerful spiraling burst of air erupted from her palms, nearly blowing away the practice dummies. "Whoa, easy there," a familiar voice called out. Yuyuhi turned to see Setsu walking over, an impressed grin on his face. "You've really gotten the hang of your wind magic, haven't you?" "Setsu, did you see that? I finally mastered it." Yuyuhi beamed excitedly before her expression fell a little. "Although, I still don't like the idea of using these powers to actually hurt people." She looked down at her hands worriedly. Setsu reached out and gave her shoulder a reassuring squeeze. "Don't worry, Yuyuhi. I know you would never misuse your magic for violence unless absolutely necessary," he said soothingly. "But if it comes down to defending yourself or protecting those you care about, don't be afraid to unleash your full power, okay?" Yuyuhi looked back up at Setsu, her eyes shining with determination. "You're right, Setsu. If it means keeping you safe, I swear I'll master every spell and blow away anyone who tries to hurt you." Setsu smiled warmly at her unwavering loyalty. "That's my girl. I'm proud of you, Yuyuhi." As the two childhood friends shared a tender moment together, back at the War Council, tensions were only growing higher. Glein had returned to inform Setsu and the others of the dire news. "I'm afraid I have been overruled," the knight said grimly. "The king is committed to taking the fight to the demon forces, despite my advisement to wait. He is convening the full military as we speak to march on their territory." "Has he lost his mind?" Elka cried out incredulously. "We're in no position for a head-on assault. We'll be slaughtered." "That foolish man, drunk off his own arrogant pride," Tia said, shaking her head disapprovingly. "Does he not recall why Setsu advocated for peace all those years ago? We were hopelessly outmatched against the demon army's might back then." "Well, we can't just sit around and let the king's armada march off to their demise," Setsu stated, getting up from where he was seated. He brushed some dirt off his clothes, shooting his friends a determined look. "I need to try reasoning with him one last time. If I can't dissuade the king from this insane war path, then I suppose I'll have no choice but to take matters into my own hands." Glein looked alarmed. "You can't mean to confront the demon army directly, all by yourself? Even you would be vastly outnumbered, Sir Setsu." "Maybe," Setsu replied with a small smirk. "But I do have a few new tricks up my sleeve thanks to my recent experiences. Trust me, I won't let this kingdom fall to ruin again, no matter what I have to do to stop it." With that ominous vow, Setsu turned and strode off, leaving his friends to watch after him with worried yet admiring expressions. The brave, powerful hero was clearly back. But had his time away changed him? Only time would tell what destiny had in store next. Setsu's companions wished to accompany him, but he instructed them to remain behind, stating that he required trustworthy individuals to stay, especially since Toma could be the mastermind. Thus, they had no choice but to comply. However, before departing, Setsu needed to retrieve his equipment stored within the palace. Tia cast an invisibility spell to sneak around unnoticed, while Elka boldly charged in, reminding Setsu of their past adventures. Elka overpowered a guard, prompting Glein to remark that they should have employed a different approach. They concealed the guard within a box and proceeded to the storage room, where Setsu located his old sword. The guards discovered the box, heightening the alert level. Elka apologized, and Glein offered to buy them time. Tia advised Elka to accompany Setsu since she could not assist further. Setsu dragged Elka away, and they managed to reach the city's edge. Elka bid him farewell, but Yuyuhi suddenly appeared, inquiring about his destination. Setsu revealed to her that this was the second time he had been summoned to this world, and he intended to halt the war. Yuyuhi insisted on joining him, but he deemed it too perilous for her. Yuyuhi persisted, stating that Setsu's actions aimed to ensure her safety. She instructed him to close his eyes and used her magic to trim his hair, impressively combining wind and fire magic. Yuyuhi vowed to grow stronger to protect him. Setsu flicked her forehead, challenging her to dodge it the next time they met as a test of her progress. He then bid her farewell and departed. In a flashback, an elderly man argued with a customer. He sold high-end jewelry of the highest quality in the entire kingdom, but refused to sell his pieces to a youngster who could not appreciate their value, citing his pride as a craftsman. The customer inquired about the price of a particular brooch, but the old man stated it was a matter of principle, not money. His granddaughter, Ruri, appeared, questioning the commotion, and the man stated their time was being wasted. It turned out to be a younger Setsu, who offered a sack of gold, instantly swaying the man's decision. After Setsu left, Ruri questioned her grandfather about his craftsman's pride, and he taught her that while pride is essential, everything has a price. After her grandfather's passing and funeral, Ruri took over to complete his final job. She traveled by carriage at night, but was attacked by a giant boar, knocking her to the ground. She was relieved the brooch was undamaged and tried negotiating with the boar, offering food and gold, to no avail. Setsu happened to be passing by and saved her. She instantly offered to pay him, but he declined, happy to have helped. Ruri, taught by her grandfather that nothing in life is free, reminded Setsu of the hero from the past. Setsu wondered why she was transporting goods without a guard, and Ruri explained her rush. Setsu reminded her that money is useless if she dies and wished her luck. Ruri asked him to be her guard, but Setsu declined, citing his own mission. She begged him to accompany her to the nearby port to deliver her package, and Setsu agreed. They reached the port town, which had grown significantly after the war's end due to booming trade. Ruri's hired ship had been cancelled due to the war, and all ships bound for the demonic continent were on hold. Undeterred, Ruri inquired about other ships, but everyone deemed her request foolish during wartime. Setsu decided to assist her, but she was approached by knights conducting inspections. They demanded to see her identification and the contents of her bag, which she refused to reveal, arousing their suspicion. Setsu intervened, introducing himself as her guard and questioning their authority to search without permits. The knights threatened action, but the public's attention caused them to back off. Ruri expressed gratitude, wondering how Setsu knew the permit rules, having learned from Glein. Without a ship, Ruri considered buying one, which Setsu deemed ridiculous. He revealed his intention to travel to the demonic continent and offered to take her if she agreed to rest at an inn. At the inn, Ruri asked Setsu to watch her package while she bathed, trusting him enough to show him the brooch, her grandfather's prized creation and final job. She explained her promise to deliver it, having learned from her grandfather the importance of protecting what truly matters, even at the cost of everything. That night, knights accused them of being demon spies and burst into their room. They escaped through the window and fled, with Setsu setting traps. Cornered, Setsu provoked the knights into fighting before jumping off the edge with Ruri, landing on an enormous sea serpent he called Levia, the god of the ocean. They traveled to the demonic continent, where Levia battled a giant squid while in human form. Setsu made squid rings for them to eat. Levia revealed a nearby fishing village and the demon lord's castle across the mountain, which Setsu intended to reach with Ruri to deliver her package. Levia expressed bewilderment at a human delivering to disaster the demon lord, causing Ruri to panic. Levia informed them that they must proceed on foot from that point, as her duty was complete. However, Setsu pondered whether she would join him. Levia asserted that she upheld her promise to maintain peace at sea and resented Setsu's treatment of her as mere transportation after 5 years, compounded by his presence with another woman. Demon children appeared, admonishing Setsu for his insensitivity toward a woman's feelings and urged him to apologize. Instead, he distributed squid rings, causing them to rejoice and seek to share with their parents. Levia suggested generously sharing the squid with the village. However, circumstances in the village were dire. Trade had halted due to the war, and the giant squid impeded fishing, raising starvation concerns. Setsu's arrival with the squid astonished the villagers, prompting a celebratory feast. Levia, revered as a deity, was served fine wine and sushi, though she preferred her seafood raw, contrary to the villagers' belief. Ruri served squid rings while Setsu cooked, though Levia chastised his sluggish pace. Setsu then expertly sliced the squid into rings with his greatsword, impressing the onlookers. Meanwhile, a demon named Brad witnessed the village fires, fearing a human invasion, and rushed to investigate. As the revelry subsided, an inebriated Ruri inquired about Levia's acquaintance with Setsu and the demon lord. Levia recounted how, 5 years prior, Setsu trespassed her ocean, leading to combat and her begrudging assistance in halting the war. However, the truth was that the war had driven Levia into a rampage, which Setsu quelled with a single blow. Levia marveled at Setsu's renown as a hero in the human kingdom, prompting Ruri's realization of his true identity, explaining his prowess and familiarity with Desaz the demon lord. When Ruri questioned Levia's feelings toward Setsu, she adamantly denied romantic love for a human, albeit admitting to awaiting his return. An explosion heralded Brad's arrival, though he soon grasped the jovial nature of the gathering and accepted squid rings from the children. Setsu commercialized his squid rings while Levia and Ruri relaxed by the ocean, Levia magically catching fresh fish. Brad apologized for his abruptness, and Setsu joined them. Brad recognized Setsu despite his new form, and inquired about the demon lord's most trusted officer's absence from the castle. Brad revealed his search for Levia and begged them to rescue Desaz, who was being coerced into marrying Terran Sneeder through a cursed subjugation, despite Levia's assumption of a joyous occasion. Setsu doubted Desaz's vulnerability to curses, but Brad mentioned an exceptionally powerful cursed necklace. He recounted the war's origins, with humans invading a month prior, contrary to Setsu's understanding. The soldiers donned massive armor and left the human kingdom's flag, though Desaz was reluctant to wage war. Sneeder then appeared, offering to negotiate peace, leading Setsu to ponder Sneeder's might. Ruri disclosed Sneeder as the world's wealthiest merchant, whose company controlled most merchant ships, explaining Desaz's willingness to sacrifice herself to cease the war. Setsu questioned Brad's acquiescence as one of Desaz's generals, but Brad vowed to fight to the last man. However, Levia realized Desaz's adherence to her promise to Setsu to maintain peace, deeming her foolish for clinging to a vow with one who had disappeared. Nonetheless, Levia committed to assisting. Brad warned of monsters infesting the castle path, but Setsu vowed to clear it as they raced toward the castle, reminiscing about their previous assault. Confronted by wolves, Levia transformed her arm, slashing them with water blades. She inquired about Setsu's plan, which involved halting the wedding and subduing Sneeder. Levia questioned how he would end the war without Sneeder's backing, but Setsu suspected Sneeder's involvement, as the demons and humans accused each other of initiating hostilities, indicating a third party's machinations. While Sneeder may not be the mastermind, Setsu believed he possessed crucial information. More wolves attacked, but Levia dispatched them with water jets, impressing Setsu with her terrestrial might and prompting him to ask if she had grown stronger. As they proceeded, Levia reflected on her passive existence at the ocean's depths prior to meeting Setsu, who showed her the world's beauty, inspiring her to protect it not just due to her promise, but her own volition. Resolving to outdo Desaz, she confessed to preferring Setsu's squid rings over raw seafood, and he vowed to make more for her. Finally, they arrived at the Demon Lord's castle, prepared to confront Desaz. In a flashback, Desaz fought to protect her people, but was ultimately defeated by Setsu. However, he offered peace and presented her with the brooch as a sincere gesture. After some time, Desaz learned of Setsu's disappearance, but remained mindful of her promise to maintain peace with him. 5 years later, Desaz patrolled the prospering city with Brad, thanks to the peace and trade with the human kingdom. Unexpectedly, Desaz's brooch cracked, concerning her, so she entrusted Brad to have it repaired. Soon after, they received reports of human attacks. Desaz avoided hasty conclusions but assembled her generals, ordering them to prepare their army and dispatching two to investigate the human kingdom's situation. Soldiers prepared supplies, feeling deceived by the humans yet confident in Desaz's ability to resolve matters. After a month with no word from the human kingdom, the situation worsened, and Desaz feared her people's inability to endure prolonged war. At that moment, Brad informed her of Terran Sneeder's arrival. The Dean and generals were outraged as Sneeder offered to leverage his power and influence to end the war, contingent upon Desaz marrying him, effectively enslaving her through his cursed servitude necklace. Despite Brad's objections, Desaz contemplated the offer, recalling her promise to Setsu as the sole means to uphold peace. Sneeder departed, thanking their endurance capabilities. Desaz reflected on the offer, recalling her vow to Setsu as potentially the only path to preserving peace. Brad urged her to reject the ludicrous proposal, asserting their men's readiness to fight for her, prompting Desaz's acceptance to safeguard them. Questioning her folly, Brad refused surrender and sought an alternative. Sneeder convened with a shady figure, affirming their plan's progression towards controlling the demonic continent. Having instigated the war by deploying armored soldiers, Sneeder suggested withdrawing them to de-escalate, but the man refused, citing his master's will. On her wedding day, despite demonic descent, the ceremony commenced with Desaz's procession. The priest prompted their vows, and Sneeder proclaimed his intentions to become the new demonic lord and master, vowing to end the war. Desaz contemplated Setsu, accepting her fate while yearning for one final reunion. As Sneeder prepared to bestow the necklace, an explosion heralded Setsu's arrival to rescue Desaz. Witnessing the explosion from afar, Ruri and Brad rejoiced at their timely arrival. Sneeder summoned guards as Levia intervened, subduing them with water blasts. Delighted to see Levia, Desaz received a backhanded compliment about her black attire's suitability. Sneeder's associate appeared, assailing Levia with immobilizing shadow magic. Poised to finish her, his magic shattered as Setsu materialized, vowing vengeance for Desaz's tears. Recognizing Setsu, the man declared his master's interest before fleeing through a smokescreen. Overjoyed, Desaz rushed to reunite with Setsu, though Levia redirected their attention to Sneeder's cursed energy subordinates. Examining the necklace, Setsu deduced Toma's involvement. Desaz inquired about their next steps, and Setsu proposed seeking the Beast King Regulus's support against Toma. Anticipating a swift departure, Levia voiced her exhaustion from the nocturnal combat. Upon Ruri and Brad's arrival, Brad lamented the castle's damage as Ruri presented the brooch for Setsu to return to Desaz, suiting her better in black. The guards initiated repairs as Sneeder faced arrest. Desaz wished to accompany Setsu, but recognized her obligation as leader. Setsu vowed to whisk her away once peace was restored. Ruri elected to remain, opening a shop as Desaz's gratitude. Bidding farewell, Setsu and Levia embarked on their next adventure to the Beast Man country. Meanwhile, a young huntress named Shiro received complimentary food from grateful merchants for her services. She hesitantly accepted the provisions for her ailing younger sister, Minko. Administering Minko's last medicine dose, Shiro vowed to find a cure. Arriving at their destination, an exhausted Levia insisted on taking a boat departing the following day from a nearby inn. Shiro procured expensive medicine from her boss, Kuro, who admired her devotion. Kuro then issued Shiro's next assignment, assassinating Setsu for a hefty reward to cover Minko's treatment indefinitely. Shiro wavered upon glimpsing Setsu and Levia at the inn. Back home, she shared dinner with Minko, whose waning appetite prompted Shiro's decision to accept one final job for medicine money. Later, as Setsu and Levia slept, Shiro infiltrated to eliminate them. That evening, Toma approached Setsu, commending his achievement in ending the war, though Setsu dismissed it as unremarkable. As Setsu prepared to depart with his friends, Toma revealed his desire to return to their original world, having discovered a means to do so. However, Setsu wished to savor a life without war in that realm. Devastated, Toma wept, recalling their promises, as an ominous aura emanated from his amulet, vowing to eradicate all to restore Setsu's former self. He attacked, and Setsu defended with his sword as Toma assailed him maniacally. Their clashing weapons repelled them before Setsu leapt toward Toma, whose slash struck Setsu's torso. Enduring the blow, Setsu struck Toma's shoulders, causing an explosive disappearance. Returned to the temple, Toma lamented his unfulfilled wishes to the amulet, resigning himself until a vision of brutalized human test subjects motivated him to liberate them. Rescuing 4 subjects, they united to obliterate the world, Toma prophesying their ascension to godhood. In the present, Setsu's classmates sailed to the demon continent as the navigator alerted the general of their imminent landing. Delivering an impassioned speech, the channel roused the soldiers. Sensing Toma's magic, Tia deduced him, not the demonic nation, as the true enemy. However, Glein noted the soldiers' zeal, deeming them unlikely to heed the situation, prompting them to seek Setsu while Yuyuhi expressed faith in his efforts to halt the needless war. They resolved to minimize casualties until his arrival. The human soldiers landed, charging the demons amid magical assaults. Glein formulated a flanking maneuver as mages bombarded enemy fortifications, enabling soldiers to breach and engage the demons. Elka led students flanking the distracted enemies, jointly eliminating some. However, one student's panic nearly proved fatal until Yuyuhi's fire spell forced the demon's retreat and human advantage. Surrounding a defenseless demon, a student prepared the killing blow, but Yuyuhi intervened, deeming the demon neutralized. A disembodied voice proclaimed ending lies as demon knights descended on the retreating demons. Allies emerged, slaying human soldiers until the demon knights inexplicably attacked the demon forces. Elka immobilized the demon knights as Glein bisected them, revealing human occupants. Meller manifested, confirming her hypnosis of allies and offering to transform them into puppets. Rejecting Elka's assault, allies repelled her as Meller shed blood, introducing herself as a monster master whose magical blood formed 4 beasts. The beasts engaged the group as the snake targeted Elka, evading its strikes with summoned icicles while Glein vanquished the gorilla. Blocking demon knight attacks, Glein enabled Tia to obliterate them and the dragon with a potent spell. Yuyuhi defeated the final beast, leaving allies and Meller. Infuriated, Meller commanded allies to kill them, but Glein swiftly overcame her, disarming and impaling Meller's magic organ. Elka condemned her for toying with lives before Meller revealed a surplus organ and fused with a chimera, fueling it with her life force. The chimera's heads fired magic beams that Tia and Yuyuhi's barrier blocked until their exhaustion. As Elka noticed a butterfly, allies stabbed Meller, petrifying her and the chimera. Though healed, allies lamented their sisterly bond. A disembodied voice preceded a dark hand, sweeping the soldiers away as a man confronted the weary group. Yuyuhi prepared to engage until Setsu's arrival. Recognizing the hero, the man unleashed his aura as Setsu charged him. Meanwhile, Kuro dispatched soldiers until Shiro and Mineko appeared, Shiro addressing Kuro as their big sister despite her laughter and thrown weapons. Evading Kuro's slashes, Shiro's counterattack missed as Kuro mocked their useless prowess, wounding Shiro's face before targeting Mineko. Shiro's flying kick and Mineko's follow-up floored Kuro momentarily until black tentacles restrained Mineko. Kuro revealed extra arms, repelling Shiro as she declared sisterhood a curse, though Shiro refuted it. Dodging Kuro's subterranean arm strikes, Shiro freed Mineko through combined efforts, invoking their secret power fusion against Kuro's escalating armaments. Overwhelmed, Kuro refused surrender, recalling her deceased siblings before lunging at them. Kuro is swiftly defeated, collapsing to the ground as the sisters revert to their true forms. Nearby, a lone figure, Verdos, confronts a group of demon soldiers. Their swords strike him, but he remains unscathed. With a smirk, he pushes the soldiers back and sheds his cloak, revealing his true might as he begins to overpower them. Introducing himself as Verdos, he taunts the soldiers, beckoning them to attack him more fiercely. At that moment, Loa, fueled by a mix of curiosity and aggression, launches herself at him, landing a punch on his unusually hard face. Startled by the solidity of his countenance, she orders the soldiers to retreat, declaring her intent to handle this formidable opponent herself. Verdos reveals his body is crafted of iron, sparking a glint of recognition in Loa's eyes when he mentions Rolla, a name that stirs a deep fury within her. Driven by the insult to her pride as a beast man, Loa unleashes a powerful aura, her fists radiating with the intent to shatter his iron form. Verdos, intrigued by her spirit, manipulates dark particles around him, forming iron pellets that pelt Loa relentlessly. She collapses, seemingly defeated, but her will remains unbroken. Rising with a fierce determination, she charges at Verdos again, enduring a barrage that strikes even her eye. Yet, she perseveres, landing a significant blow to his face. Verdos recalls the legendary resilience of the Beast King's lineage, able to burn through life force in desperate bids for victory. He braces himself, hardening his form further, ready to extinguish her pride. But Loa, undeterred, strikes with such force that his armor begins to fracture. In a last desperate act, Verdos impales her with iron spikes, but she shatters them, her fist driving through his torso in a decisive blow. Collapsing from exhaustion, Loa declares the indomitable nature of a beast man's pride. Verdos, acknowledging her valiant spirit, heals her wounds, allowing her spirit and pride to endure as he collapses, defeated. As Loa regains her strength, she questions why Verdos would serve someone like Toma, only to learn that his allegiance was born from a whimsical affection for Toma's charm. Meanwhile, the battlefield shifts to Setsu, locked in combat with an opponent wielding shadows to ensnare and immobilize. The enemy, cloaked in shadow armor that absorbs energy, mocks Setsu's efforts. But Setsu, undeterred, unleashes a sword skill that annihilates his foe's equipment. The battle intensifies as Setsu counters every transformation and tactic with cunning and raw power, ultimately disarming his opponent and sealing the victory with strategic brilliance. As the dust settles, Toma appears, determined to draw this conflict to a close. Setsu and Toma clash fiercely, their powers escalating with each strike. Toma morphs his weapons, attempting to overpower Setsu, but Setsu adapts swiftly, turning Toma's own power against him. In a final, desperate bid, Toma unleashes all his life force into one last attack, but Setsu, remembering his promise to protect Toma, uses his sword to cleanse rather than kill, stripping away the curse controlling Toma. As the battle concludes, Toma, now free from manipulation, reflects on his actions and their consequences. Setsu, honoring his earlier promise, prepares to send everyone back to their original world, leaving Toma to face his redemption alone. Toma performs the spell, choosing to remain behind to atone for his misdeeds, while Setsu, accompanied by faithful allies, steps forward into new adventures, leaving behind a world forever changed by their epic saga. As the story draws to a close, with Toma and Setsu going their separate ways, each carrying the weight of their past and the hope for redemption and new beginnings, the tale of courage, loyalty, and fierce battles concludes. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.